Hi. So instead of doing like a video journal update today, which is really sad and depressing and traumatizing, I'm actually going to be talking about trauma today. So if you want to hear more about that, I'm going to be talking about what trauma is, how that kind of is showing up for people right now, who it's showing up for, and some things that you guys can do, things that I've been doing, things that my friends have been doing, my people have been doing. So if you're interested in hearing about that, please stick around. Okay, so trauma, what is that, right? So trauma is basically like an overwhelming negative event or an overwhelming event that a person perceives in a negative way that can cause like long-lasting psychological impacts. Right, so that then there's two kinds. There's like primary trauma, which is like a lived experience. So right now, that would be like having COVID-19, getting fired from your job, being homeless right now, or being like without food, being in an unsafe living space, having to be quarantined like in an unsafe living space, fear of getting COVID, right? So those are like primary things. Vicarious trauma is basically like witnessing the negative things happening to a person. So right now that would be like having a family member with COVID or witnessing all the death that's going on in the world or all the suffering that's going on in the world for people, right? So those are the two different kinds of trauma. Now, regardless of whether it's vicarious or primary trauma, it all kind of creates a sense of loss of control over your life, especially right now because this virus is new. We don't know what's happening with it. The government is like losing its fucking mind. People are getting fired left and right. It's like we don't even know what's happening, right? And so it's making us feel like we have no control over our lives. And with trauma, it shows up in different kinds of ways for people, right? Regardless of age, actually. So children can be experiencing these things too. It looks a little bit different in kids versus adults, but kids are full-fledged human beings and are feeling and experiencing these things just like we adults are, right? So how is it showing up for people? It's showing up in your body. There's this thing called the vagus nerve, and there's this thing called the polyvagal theory, which essentially talks about how trauma is first experienced in the body and then in the brain, right? So in the body, it's showing up with things like stomach aches, lots of nausea, upset stomach, not being able to keep things down, or other gastrointestinal problems. It could be like aches and pains, sore muscles, sore jaw, achy, or like a heavy, sluggish feeling in your body. Or maybe you're really fidgety and can't sit still and keep tapping your leg and keep getting up and keep cleaning up at 4 a.m., right? Because you can't sit down. Or maybe it's that your heart is racing out of nowhere, or your chest feels super tight, or it feels like you can't breathe, right? So that's how maybe it's showing up in your body, right? So then it's also showing up in our brains, right? So that's like having nightmares, having intrusive thoughts about the things that could go wrong and what could go wrong for yourself or for your loved ones, or inability to make decisions, feeling like you are so stuck and paralyzed that you have no idea what to do. So you can't even make small decisions, right? Maybe you're having some mood dysregulation where 1 minute you're happy, 1 minute you're sad, 0 to 100 real quick. 1 minute you're angry and then the next minute you're crying, right? Out of nowhere. Maybe you're having some memory issues. Maybe you're having a hard time recalling things or keeping track of things. Or maybe you're having a hard time paying attention when somebody's talking to you or when you're watching TV or when you're doing anything, right? Maybe you're feeling hopeless. Maybe you're feeling helpless, right? Maybe you're having some sleep dysregulation. Waking up in the middle of the night, having a hard time falling asleep. Maybe you're feeling like dissociated from your body. Maybe you feel like you're having like an out of body experience. Maybe you feel like this isn't real right now, like a surreal sort of post-apocalyptic American horror story. Am I really awake? Am I dreaming? Sort of thing, like an out of body thing. Sometimes it may feel like you're losing chunks of time. Maybe it feels like the days are going by super, super quick and you can't really remember what you did this morning or what you did last night, right? right? So then it's also showing up in the relationships that we have. And so, for example, in the relationship that we have with ourselves, because that's extremely important. Maybe you're more nitpicky with yourself. Maybe you're saying a little bit more mean things with yourself, or maybe your temper is a little bit shorter with yourself, or, oh, that's so dumb. How could I make such a dumb mistake? You know, saying those sorts of kind of little bit mean things to yourself. Or maybe you are having an increase in some of those extreme coping techniques, which would be like using substances, alcohol, marijuana, prescription drugs, whatever substance of choice. Maybe you have been increasing that, right, to help with some of that anxiety and anxious feeling. Maybe you have been self-harming more, cutting and those sorts of things more to alleviate some of that, or engaging in some of those unsafe sex practices, like reaching out to that young man with the BBC who you know is a little bit toxic, a little bit trash, but you know he know how to make you feel good. That's an extreme coping technique. I consider it. I don't know what the books say, okay? But I consider it to be an extreme coping technique because you know he no good for you on the inside, okay? Yeah, so that's how it's kind of maybe impacting your self-relationship and relationships with others. Maybe you're yelling at your kids more. Maybe you're arguing with your man more, your girl more. Maybe you're arguing more with your family. Maybe some more road rage when you're out there driving around trying to find supplies to survive, okay? Maybe you're not able to be as of a rock for your family and to be as a support for your family and your loved ones right now like you normally are. Maybe you are more micromanaging and bossy of others just to kind of regain some of that control that you feel like you're losing right now. Maybe you're kind of overbearing a little to overcompensate, and that's okay. So now, who is this impacting, right? So right now in the world, or in the US, I guess, it seems to be the folk who are staying at home and the folk who are having to go outside, right? So the people who are having to go outside are those essential workers, right? Janitors, maids, shelter workers, medical professionals, soldiers, trash men, plant workers, fast food workers, child protection workers, postal people, delivery drivers, all of you guys. I appreciate you guys so much. For a minute, I'm an essential worker, but I'm able to work from home now. But for a minute, I was out there on the front lines, and in a very limited capacity, but just having to be outside when I know that COVID is such a non-choosy lover, just out here getting anybody, everybody. It don't matter, your mama, God forbid, not a Christian, but God forbid, and it made me feel really unable to focus at work. And so it was like a having to make money to survive thing versus like a fear of getting COVID versus like wanting to help my fellow man and my clients who I deeply am compassionate and care about, but versus like being out there and then coming home and exposing my man and exposing my colleagues at work. It was just like a real mind fuck for me. And then versus like having to like mourn and like grieve for the world right now, it was just crazy for me. And so I am astounded by you guys, and I hope that somehow, some way, you guys are able to maintain some sanity through all of this, because I don't know, man. I don't know, man. And then we have those inside people, right? Whether it's people who are able to work from home because their jobs have that as an accessibility thing for them, whether it's people who have been laid off, fired, furloughed, whatever the terminology is, who are unemployed essentially and are sitting at home, right? Teachers, therapists, hotline workers, people who are calling up sick, who are just scared as fuck that they might catch fucking COVID or pass it on to somebody who's in their family. That's okay too, man. Because I called out sick one day. That's okay too. But maybe some of you guys who are at home, maybe you're feeling trapped, right? Maybe you got 29 kids and you a single parent and them little badass kids is getting on your nerves, right? Or maybe you live in an unsafe home. Maybe you have an abusive partner. Maybe you have toxic family, toxic roommates, abusive people around you in an unsafe home physically, in a neighborhood where there's shootouts and people robbing people because resources are limited. and whether you can't get a break from that like you usually would when you would leave to go outside, right? Then some people are feeling a push to be productive, right? Some people, whether you're employed or not, where you kind of feel the need to be the same level of productive that you are on the outside. I'm talking like I'm in jail, damn. Like you are on the outside, right? In the usual day to day, we kind of have a productive level that we feel like we should meet day to day, right? And for some reason, I was still feeling that urge to still meet that same productivity level, even though this is a damn worldwide epidemic. And I'm in a trauma state right now. And so I had to realize that that just sounds crazy. And I had to allow myself to feel those feelings, right? But that's for the tips. So some people may be feeling a push to lose weight right now, to work out excessively, or to start a business, to book some gigs, or to perform at the same level, right? We're kind of just feeling this urge to do and do and do. Capitalism is making us feel like we need to do something, right? Now, there is some good news, okay? You don't have to just sit in it and stew in it, okay? So stay as connected as possible to people. Calling on the phone if you can. Video is probably a little bit better because it makes you feel like a person is looking you in the face. Social media, if you don't have close people enough to call and do videos with. Social media, I would caution though, like maybe follow some like positive accounts. Try not to maybe do all the conspiracy theory, all the news outlets that are showing like all the sad, horrific things that are going on. Maybe try to stay grounded in the present. Ways that I do that and ways that research shows works is like getting grounded in your body. So for me, that's like dancing around the house. I love to twerk around the house, girl. Okay, ask anybody who knows me. They will tell you I love to twerk around the house when I'm getting ready for work, when I'm doing anything. I know some of you guys, when I said getting physical and getting into your body, some of you guys thought of sex. I mean, sure, sex is cool. Do not go outside of your house. COVID, okay? If you have some indoor D activity or P or whatever it is that you're into, okay? Maybe just trying masturbation, self-pleasure, okay? Don't be scared. Know yourself, okay? Maybe make a schedule of your day. If you're not one of those people who like schedules and who kind of is just feeling so overwhelmed, maybe something loose, not setting time brackets, but maybe just activities and then just doing them when you get the energy stores. Take as many breaks as you can, want or need to, or that you feel like you can do, because you still got to make your coin if that's a deep concern for you. So I understand that. Do something to laugh. Watch some videos, watch some Martin, have your kids do a fashion show or a rendition of If It Is in Love. Okay, have them do a rendition. Okay, kids are funny. Use them for your entertainment, okay? I don't have any kids, hallelujah, but if I did, they would be doing all kinds of things in here for my pleasure. They would be having fun too. Maybe start a hobby. Start something new. Maybe read a book. If you are into therapy, I think therapy is great. Plug, I'm a therapist. Maybe remote therapy. There's some resources out there. There's some websites. I can link a few in the bottom. Name your feelings. Speak your truth. Write it down. Journal it. Video journal it. Something just to alleviate it, get it off of your chest, okay? I would love to hear what you guys have been doing, what's been working, what hasn't been working. Yeah, let me know. I would love to know in the comments. Let me know what else you guys want me to talk about. I'm bored in here. Okay, guys, come on. Interact with me. Subscribe. I think it's over here somewhere, maybe. There's some notification bell, do all those things. I'm getting a song made, an intro song. I know I said I wasn't, but I am. Maybe like a graphic thing for somewhere to go around. I don't know. I'm gonna figure it out. I'm trying to get better. Interact with me. Bye.